Yeah, the number is 8 now for Texas. Portal additions. 2 came down yesterday. 2 big ones. One really big one and one really explosive one. Because the show yesterday, during the show, we got word that the Longhorns were going to miss out on a linebacker they were after, a kid named Christian Allegro from Wisconsin. He committed to Ohio State over Texas, so it was kind of a downer. Nick Shuley was in here with us doing our plan of attack for the weekend, and that came in. I was like, oh, man, Nick was kind of bumming, host of the Third and Longhorn podcast. And then within 10 minutes, Pete Thamel with another breaking news report that the Longhorns have gotten the commitment from Raleek Brown, the running back from Arizona State. And this was a big one.
It was.
Texas obviously needed to upgrade the explosiveness and the dynamic running back room. Because last year they were plotting at running back, right? Trey Wisner's a good player, really good player, I should say, but he's not a dynamic runner.
Right? They were banking on C.J. Baxter to be what he was pre-injury.
Christian Clark, for most of the regular season, Christian Clark wasn't back to what they thought he could be. We got to see that in the Citrus Bowl when he was fully healthy and a year and a half off of that Achilles. But either way, yeah, they weren't dynamic at the running back room as they had been when they had Jonathan Brooks and a healthy C.J. Baxter, when they had Bijan Robinson and Roshan Johnson and Keelan Robinson and Jaden Blue. That was lost last year, and it was obviously noticeable. Well, Raleek Brown brings back the dynamic nature of your running back room. He replaced Cam Scattaboo as the running back 1 at Arizona State. Scattaboo off to the NFL and the New York Giants. He was the battering ram who just carried that program to the Final Four a year ago, or to the loss to the Texas in the Peach Bowl. And then they recruit this kid, Raleek Brown, who's from Mater Dei High School out in Southern California, one of the power high schools on the West Coast.
Right.
He went to USC originally, but then saw an opportunity to go play when Scattaboo was off to the NFL. And how about this? Where Texas last year, Trey Wisner had 6 explosive runs. And when you put the label explosive runs, 6 of them. His longest run last year, Trey Wisner, was 48 yards. Raleek Brown at Arizona State had 31 runs of 10 yards or more. Yeah. He had an 88-yard touchdown run. He had a 75-yard touchdown run. He runs away from people. And if you see him, and people are going to think I'm crazy. You watch him on film. There's like one of those highlight reels of Raleek Brown from high school to USC and to Arizona State. He's got a little Jahmyr Gibbs to him.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, right? He could get a little through the tackles as well. He's got some, he's a 195 at 5'10".
But speed. And everybody on the West Coast has known about Raleek Brown since he's in high school at Mater Dei because he's that kind of a dynamic player. So this is a big one for Texas. Whatever the running back room looks like, I mean, you have a 5-star freshman in Derek Cooper from South Florida coming in, and now this kid who's played a couple of years of college football already, he comes in, and so the gamble pays off to let Trey Wisner walk. And if Christian Clark is back and you've got those 3 guys with James Simon, and I still think they're going to go add one more running back through this portal, an experienced, bigger back, I think will be the focus. That's a big get. And then so Allegro to Ohio State, Raleek Brown to Texas yesterday. But then later in the day, this is one we told you, plan on this happening. The massive freshman to-be sophomore defensive tackle from LSU, Zion Williams, committed to Texas. 6'5" and 350. He's from Lufkin. We told you he entered the portal with a no-contact tag, which he kind of felt like where he wanted to go. And if you remember, when he was recruited out of high school in East Texas at Lufkin, he was down to Texas and LSU.
Right.
Chose LSU. Brian Kelly fired, upheaval, coaching staff, the whole bit. He's back into the portal. He comes back to Texas. He wanted to be in Austin. And so along with 350-pound Zion Williams, who's a young guy, they've also added the Arkansas transfer Ian Jaffrard, who's 360 pounds. You have 2 over-the-ball nose tackles, one with a lot of experience in the SEC and one who can develop behind him, something Will Muschamp absolutely wanted in this portal cycle. So an experienced big guy and a young big guy, both of them kind of have Tavondre Sweat vibes.
Yeah, you need that, right? Especially with the game that they've seen with the SEC. But yeah, going back to Raleek Brown too, I just think it's going to be huge for the offense to have a guy. They lack that, right? They lacked a guy that could be a real, true receiving back, be able to run those screens, create space. We see that with Sark's offense. That if you can pass it off to a guy like that and let him run through the trenches as well, he'll be your running back 1. He should be at that point.
Well, and then 2 more Longhorns entered the portal yesterday, so that number is now up to 21. The Longhorns have 8 commitments through the portal, and I say 9 because Derek Williams is back, right? That's a 9th that you thought you were going to lose that's back. Right. So you've got veteran safety, the top corner on your board, 2 of the top defensive tackles on your board, one of your top running backs is in, and now all eyes will be on Cam Coleman and what he does. There's been a lot of talk that his decision could come today, but who knows? Cam Coleman is represented by David Mulugeta, who's the agent who's here in Austin, Texas. David Mulugeta represents Micah Parsons and George Pickens and a bunch of NFL guys.
A lot of big names.
And Cam
C.J. Stroud.
Cam Coleman is seen as a NFL player. Yeah. So he's got an NFL agent already who's advising him. And we'll see. Is there a tie to Austin? There's Pete Nakos at On3 Sports reported yesterday that there's momentum for Texas in this recruitment. There's been some talk that Texas has emerged because he's taken all his visits. He went to Lubbock, went to A&M, went to Texas, Alabama. So just keep an eye on it. By no means are we saying that Cam Coleman's coming to Texas, but the momentum is good. The other guy to watch possibly today is this Cal linebacker. And Texas is pretty desperate for linebackers right now. Leungalafau committing to Colorado yesterday. This is one that Bobby Burton told us about earlier in the week. Cade Ulave. Ulave. Yes. Ulave. But he's from Cal. He's going to be a junior. He's played 2 years of college football, but he was an all-freshman ACC player in 2023. He was actually in 2023, Ulave, Noah, was the Pac-12 Defensive Freshman of the Year in that conference. And then this past year, on a bad Cal team, he was the first-team All-ACC linebacker.
Yeah.
In the ACC of 18 teams. He was first team as voted by the coaches. So he's in, and he also entered the portal with a no-contact tag. And he visited Texas this week. That would be one. I mean, if you have Ty Anthony Smith, this is experience, right? This will be a third-year player. He's to be 21 years old by the time the season begins. This is what we're talking about with experience, but probably an upgrade from even Leungalafau. And this is what Texas wants to invest in. People have asked about Leungalafau, Trey Wisner. I think Texas, as we said, when you put a value on a player, will offer you this. Parker Livingston is another example. Anthony Hill's walking out the door, and he was an all-SEC player. We don't think Leungalafau is as good a player as he is as an all-SEC first-team caliber player, big picture.
Right.
This kid is. This kid was just first-team all-ACC, and he was the Pac-12's freshman of the year as a freshman. That's what you're looking to replace that. So you put Ty Anthony Smith, who was the defensive MVP of the Citrus Bowl, with Cade Ulave. That could be some pretty good stuff to build on at your linebacker room with Tyler Atkinson, the five-star freshman, coming in. And I think the Longhorns will add at least 2, possibly 3 linebackers in this portal cycle.
Yeah, this is a need, right? We talked about those 3 categories.
This is a must.
Yeah, must, sure. If you want to call it need, must, and then there's the wants and the luxuries. This is completely a need and a must. So if they can get him, that'd be great, especially a guy with experience. We've talked about how important that is in the modern day of college football.
And then the next phase would be the offensive line on the interior.
And that's another
at least
need.
2 guys, veteran players on the interior, because you feel good about Trevor Gooseby and Brandon Baker. By the way, Brandon Baker, modern day, like Raleek Brown. I think they were high school teammates.
A lot of guys that are in the league are from modern day, right?
And Texas wanted the kid from Michigan, Andrew Sprague.
Right, you understand.
And I think the plan would have been to put Andrew Sprague at right tackle and move Brandon Baker inside.
Yeah.
With his experience, but could slide inside. And let's remember, the Longhorns still have guys on campus. A guy like Nick Brooks, who started a game at guard as a true freshman. He's massive. He's a guy you could look at. But again, they're going to get experience. They're going to get experience in the portal and at the offensive line. But again, if you project where what they have with Arch Manning, with Ryan Wingo, Emmett Mosley, the young tight end Nick Townsend, and some others, they add the big inline blocker at Michigan State. If they were to get Cam Coleman to go with Raleek Brown, you're back to being an explosive offense.
Yep.
In 2023 and 24, Texas was one of the most explosive offenses in the country. In 2025, they were not, because they didn't have that dynamic, explosive running back. And, I mean, how many big play, explosive plays did Texas drop at the wide receiver position?
A lot.
There would have been explosive plays that turned out to be drop passes. A lot
of those in the Georgia game.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go down the list.
Oh, man, over and over again. They were like big first downs. I mean, gosh, or missed by Arch Manning, quite honestly, too, where he was inaccurate with a throw that could have been explosive. That's where you hope Texas needs to get back to being explosive, because one of the reasons they piled up so many penalties and continue to pile up penalties is they have to go long 10, 12-play drives every time, because they lacked the explosion last year that they had in previous years. When you had Xavier Worthy and Jaden Blue and Matthew Golden, you were an explosive play waiting to happen. Bijan Robinson, that was not the case last year. You were more plotting as an offense, and then you were undisciplined as an offense with the penalties, the drops, and the missed throws. The goal would be to get back to being explosive and be more disciplined with now a veteran quarterback leading the way. And again, if you had Cam Coleman to go with Raleek Brown, this will get back to being one of the more explosive offenses in the country, because now Ryan Wingo is your number 2.
Yeah.
Emmett Mosley is your number 3.
Watching that Cam Coleman thing develop, we have a feel possibly Texas is the spot. I mean, when it comes to quarterback, would you want to play for Arch Manning? I mean, that's maybe us just saying that on Austin Airwaves, but I think anybody really could say that's the best option.
Far and away.
But if he does commit elsewhere, watch out for a name, Isaiah Horton from Alabama. He just went and put his name in the portal. So there is other options
also
out
the kid
there.
from Vanderbilt,
Yes.
the wide receiver from Vanderbilt, who's more of that slot receiver type, smaller body type, but
Isaiah Horton could fill in that spot. Just putting that out there. If Cam Coleman decides to go elsewhere, that is a name to watch out for. He just did that yesterday.
All right, so we will keep you posted. The Head on a Swivel week continues. Yes. 2 added, 2 into the portal. Longhorns with Jamie French and Zena Umazulu into the portal. That's 21 now for the Longhorns, and most of them, high majority from the class of 2024. I think 60-some% now, 65% of the recruiting class of 2024 is portal bound because Texas ain't waiting. They're recruiting experience, and those guys are going to go play elsewhere.